Hello, third graders. This is Mrs. Oyster, and today we are starting a brand new domain. Our second domain is about animal classification, and today we're going to listen to lesson one, and this lesson is called Classifying Animals by Characteristics. So, a couple reminders before we begin. You can always pause this video to rewind and hear parts that you missed, or pause and think about what you are listening to. And as you are listening, you'll be asked to answer a couple questions along the way to make sure you're trying really hard to understand what I'm teaching you. All right, so first take a look at this animal. This is a fish. What do you see and what do you already know about fish? This animal belongs to a group called amphibians. What do you see and know about amphibians? Let's look at another animal. This is a snake, which belongs to the reptile group. Think about what you already know about reptiles. This animal here is a bird. What do you already know about birds? What do you notice when you look at it? And last, this animal here is a mammal. So I want you to think about what you see and what you already know about mammals. So think about a couple of the animal groups you've just seen. Look at a mammal, the hippo, and the fish. How are they the same and how are they different? How about these two, birds and reptiles? What do they have in common? Which means what is the same about them? Or what is different about them? First, let's talk about classifying living and non living things. So, living things are alive, and non living things are not alive. What about a lion? What would a lion belong to? Yes, a lion is a living thing. How about an oak tree? Oak trees are also living. How about a rock? Also non-living. A rock is not alive. How about a television? Yeah, but television is also non-living. So take a look at the other items on this list and think, are they living or are they non-living? Today, as you listen, I want you to listen carefully for the names of the five groups of animals in today's read aloud, and why do scientists classify them the way that they do? All right, class, here we go. Aha! I'm back. It's me, Rattenborough, animal expert and world traveler. We've explored lots of animal habitats together, haven't we? From hot savannas to cold Arctic regions, we've watched hungry carnivores eat their prey with very sharp teeth, while herbivores feast on grasses nearby. All right, class, do you remember that a narrator is the person who is telling the story? Who is the narrator of this domain? You said Rattenborough, then you are right. Today I've got a great fun in store for you. I'm going to present a slideshow. But before I do that, I'd like to tell you a little about how scientists understand animals. Think about all the different types of animals on Earth. Grasshoppers, penguins, rabbits, lions, salmon, turtles, and salamanders are just a few. What other animals can you think of? How do you tell them apart? How do you recognize or identify them? One way that we make sense of our world is by sorting things into categories or groups. Look closely at these pictures of a salamander and a squirrel and notice their characteristics. Can you name any ways that a salamander and a squirrel are alike? How are they different? What other characteristics can you think of to help sort animals into categories? Well, let's pause and think about these two animals for a moment. How are they alike? Well, I notice they both have eyes, they both have a mouth, they both have legs. Now, how are they different? Well, the salamander's skin looks like it's smooth, maybe a little slimy, whereas the squirrel looks like it has furry, soft skin. In the mid 1700s, a Swedish man named Carolus Linnaeus became fascinated by the different ways that people all over the world were grouping animals. Some grouped animals by how they looked, others grouped them by their habits, and still others by where they lived. It was all a mess. So Linnaeus decided to use their ideas to create a worldwide system to classify or group animals based on their shared characteristics. This science of classifying organisms is called taxonomy. Using new ideas and tools, scientists have continued to study the ways they are similar and different. Classify, this word that's highlighted here, means to sort or group things according to common characteristics. And in this case, we are sorting or grouping animals. Scientists currently recognize three groups of living organisms based on important parts within their cells. Scientists generally agree that these three groups of organisms are then divided into kingdoms, the main groups into which all living organisms have been further classified. Plants and animals are the two kingdoms that I know the most about, and today I'm here to talk to you about my favorite one. That's right, the animal kingdom. These are the five groups classified as vertebrates. Can you think of what they are? Going from left to right, we have fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and then mammals. Taxonomists identify animals by their characteristics or special features that set them apart from others. They divide the five kingdoms into smaller and smaller groups, with each smaller group having more and more in common with one another. Each group has a specific name. For example, you and I not only belong to the same kingdom, the animal kingdom, but we both belong to the same phylum because we share similar body characteristics. A vertebrate has a backbone. Do you have a backbone? Yes, you do, and so do I. That is one of our common characteristics, one of the ways that scientists group us to show relationships between us. My backbone is smaller than yours because I'm much smaller. But if you look closely at this image, you can see how similar the bones are. So, class, look at the girl on the bike, and you can see it's kind of like an x ray of her backbone. And then down here is an x ray of the backbone of a rat. So, take a look at how similar they are. All right, question to see if you've been listening. What is the main characteristic that we, meaning humans and rats, have in common? A little more than 95% of all animals on Earth are invertebrates. Now that you know that a vertebrate is an animal with a backbone, what do you think an invertebrate is? Think about it. More than 95% of all the species of animals on Earth. That's a lot of invertebrates, and most of them are fairly small. Fewer than 5% of all animal species are vertebrates. That means that you and I and all vertebrates belong to a very small percentage of all the animals on Earth. Mammals, that includes all humans, are literally just a speck. All right, class. So if a vertebrate is an animal with a backbone, what do you think an invertebrate is? I met the most wonderful new animal friends while I traveled. They represent five vertebrate groups of animals. As they are introduced, remember to think about how a scientist might classify them. How is each one like you, and how are they different from you? Here's Paulo Piranha from Colombia, Tabitha Toad from Brazil, Ebenezer Egret from South Africa, and meet Hilda Hippo from Tanzania. They are going to appear from time to time as you learn about the five vertebrate groups of animals. They all belong to the animal kingdom, like you and me, and they are like us in another way. They all have backbones. So, what characteristic do all these animal groups have in common? Now things get tricky. We are all animals and we are all vertebrates, but we are not all the same, are we? Heavens, no. We have lots of differences as well. You and I belong to the class or group called mammals. What makes mammals different from other classes of animals is that they have fur or hair. The mothers give birth to live babies and feed their babies with the milk their bodies produce. You will learn more about these and other characteristics of mammals another day. My friend Hilda Hippo is indeed a mammal, even though it is hard to see the little bit of hair around her mouth, on the tips of her ears and tail. She is a proud new mother hippopotamus. Look at her with her baby. So, I'm a mammal, you're a mammal, and Hilda is a mammal. But my other friends have different classifications. One of them is in the reptile class, a scaly creature that likes to warm itself in the sunshine. Anna anaconda. Isn't she beautiful? She's one of the largest snakes in the world. Though she is not poisonous, her strong muscles help her constrict or squeeze her prey. Another of my friends is an amphibian, which means that she lays eggs and lives both in and out of water. Most animals in the amphibian class have smooth, wet skin, but my friend's skin is rather dry and leathery. Who is she? Right again, Tabitha Toad. She looks a lot like her close relative the frog, doesn't she? Her skin helps protect her, as it is camouflaged or able to blend into the environment. Paulo piranha is the next of my friends to be classified today. Which group does Paulo belong to? Paulo piranha is a fish. He has fins and gills and lives in water. Piranhas, though small, are thought by many to be dangerous because of their very sharp teeth. Don't worry, Paulo, like many other piranhas, usually feeds on dead and injured wild animals. My last friend should be easy to classify because its classification name is much more common to all of us. Which one of my friends is a member of the bird class? Yes, Ebenezer egret. Ebenezer is a warm-blooded vertebrate with feathers. Taxonomists believe that all of the vertebrate groups can be classified into one of these five animal groups: fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. In one of these five groups, fish have the largest number of species. Even though there are more than 60,000 known species of vertebrates on Earth, there are nearly 1.5 million invertebrates, and 1 million of those are insects. All right, class, what is the largest group of vertebrates, animals with backbones? Correct, it is the fish group. Scientists continue to discover thousands of new insect species each year. How can this be? There are still unexplored areas of the Earth, far into the rainforests, inside the cold ice of glaciers, within the hot lava of volcanoes, and deep down in the ocean. Perhaps one day you will discover new animals yourselves, examine and classify them by their different characteristics, and add to our understanding of taxonomy. Let's think about what you've learned today. Scientists classify organisms, including animals, in order to show relationships. Animals are classified by common characteristics. Vertebrate animals have backbones, whereas invertebrates do not. Some are warm blooded, whereas others are cold blooded. Other important ways that scientists might classify animals are where animals live, their habitats. Do they live in water or on land? Do they live in warm climates or cold climates? What covers their bodies? Feathers or scales, fur or hair? Do they lay eggs or do they give birth to live creatures that look like smaller versions of themselves? What kinds of food do they eat? Plants, animals, or both? These are all important questions for taxonomists. Right, take a look at this highlighted area. What are the two main ways that scientists classify animals? In the upcoming read alouds, you will learn much more about how animals are classified. Next time, we will pick up with the slideshow so that I can teach you about the groups of animals to which Tabitha Toad, Anna Anaconda, and Paulo Piranha belong. Can anyone make a prediction about which of my friends are warm-blooded animals like me? Well, you'll have to wait until next time to see if you are right.